folks, how are you? Tom Haven here. Gonna do an I Ching reading day after Thanksgiving 2014. My Wilhelm edition, the I Ching. This is just a general type of notepad which you would use as well. And I know I showed you in one video the stalk method. You would count 50 to see if they're 50 to remove one, and then you have the method for getting your lines with the stalk method. Today we're going to work with the marble. I like to call it the glass bead. You have to have the right different colors sequence in this bag to use the marble bead method. It's 1 blue, 3 reds. It's always an odd number. 1, 3, 5 greens. 5 greens, and then there should be 7 whites. Right? 2, 4, 6, 7. So that's complete. 1 blue, 3 red, 5 green, and 7 white. Some people use yellow instead of the white. Those are the right proportions. There are some that say that the marble method is closest to the yarrow stalk. I like it better than the coin because I feel that the clicking sound is different than a coin clinking sound. Something about the sound and the speed, also the speed, similar to the coin method. You get a certain speed. All right. So what I like to do in the beginning when I'm taking notes for reading, so I'll write down the day, day after Thanksgiving, about 15 I guess. And then you just draw from glass bead. Got a white, my first line is a broken line. A lot quicker than the yarrow stalk method. Red. White. Red. So you draw 6 times. Green, and a red. All right, so I wrote it from the bottom up, picking different colored marbles, and these have a very flat glass bead. It's not really marble. You draw your lines going up, and I got a broken, solid, broken, solid, 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 which is Shin over Li, Shin over Kan. Sorry, I'm mistaken. Shin over Kan. So I get a 6. And then each of the in places where I drew either a red or a blue marble, in this case I did draw a number of reds, each of those become a type of fortune cookie. So we got one on line 2, 4, and 6. Those change to the opposite, which is broken, and we end up with a Kan over Kun. Kan over Kun, which is 8. Right, so we're getting to the numbers a lot quicker than the yarrow stalk. So chapter 6, I go to, and I get the specific lines, or what some people call a fortune cookie. And I drew on 2, 4, and 6. So I got 3 different lines to read. And this is the one about conflicts. It's chapter 6. Sometimes what I do with people are just getting used to understanding, interpreting, I'll just take them right to the image just to see if they understand what the line mean in the beginning underneath the title. And in this case it says, I see an image of heaven over water. And I ask people, what comes to your mind? Heaven over water. Any type of image comes to mind with heaven over water? And they say, no, nothing comes to my mind. Well, one person might say, well, what about rain? So then you go to the image part, just to simplify, go right to the first two images. There's also two themes, and not just images, and in this case, creative over abysmal. So it's not just images, but also themes. What comes to mind when you think of creative over abysmal, But go to the image, it says conflict's inevitable, it's tendencies of opposing tendencies. If that's what's going on, everything must be taken carefully into consideration at the very beginning. Undertaking something that promises to to develop a certain amount of conflict, then what it says is try to harmonize spiritual trends, and then the cause of conflict will be removed in advance. So how do you ask yourself, how do I think of the different people I'm involved in, different relationships in my life, and or possibly new undertaking, the relationships involved with that, and it just then focuses, group dynamics. You try to get the spiritual trends of the individual to harmonize in order for group dynamics to work well. That's I don't know how that's exactly an image, but something about heaven and water going opposite ways, right? Heaven over water, that's the image they come up with. That's conflict. It's forces that are moving away from each other. And then there's always this talk about the holy man, the sage. It also says the superior man. One different ways to refer to it. It's the disciple, the one that we're focusing on. That person's specifics. Consider all things carefully in the beginning. Then it gets into talking about the group dynamics. So be the superior man, be the sage, be the holy one. There are parts in the I Ching that talks about, similar to Psalm 23 type stuff, where there can be earthquakes and things going on around you, and somehow you keep your inner calm in the midst of that storm. It's not always easy to achieve that. You try to get it possibly through meditation, and somehow keeping it focused on, the Lord, or what's it mean to consider things carefully before things develop. Anyway, we got 3 specific lines. So for the first one, I'll write, by the 6th and the 8th, I'll write the word conflict. It's the name of the first chapter. And then under that, I'll write the number 2, circle number 2. We're going to start reading some of these portions. We're not going to spend a lot of time. I know you can really delve into detail on a lot of what's going on in these chapters, but I'm just sort of focusing on the images, the messages, and just see if we can get through it a few times fairly quickly. None of these interpretations are hard and fast. It's all subjective. It's just like a thought thrasher. Does this match any of the stuff you're going through? Is there a way you can get your spiritual, personal growth together with some of the different frameworks, scenarios that you begin seeing if it matches anything you're going through? What I like to do is I like to take just a little snippet of a phrase from the fortune cookie itself, or from the image. In this case, we'll take notes on the fortune cookies first. The second line says, one cannot engage in conflict, so you return home and you give way. And then the people of the town and 300 households are free of guilt. So this is a story of someone who has to return home and sort of gives up in a way. It says gives way, relents. You can't get engaged in conflict. You go home and you relent. Then it says all the people in your town will be saved and will be free of guilt. And then it talks about what's it like to be so confronted with an enemy of superior force. Best thing is to do a graceful retreat, which it says retreat is not a disgrace. Timely withdrawal prevents bad consequences. If out of a sense of honor you allowed yourself to hang on, you might be